They say the dead can't play favorites, but my father proved otherwise. From beyond the grave, with a smile, the room smelled like old money and fresher betrayal. The mahogany table stretched longer than the years between us, me and her. Celeste, my older sister, my father's favorite. The lawyer sat at the head, fiddling with papers like he wasn't about to slice our family history down the middle with a single breath. The curtains were half drawn. The light hit Celeste's pearl necklace just enough to make it look like it was glowing. She always liked to shine. Even in morning black, she looked like a Vogue editorial, flawless bun, sharp cheekbones, heels too high for anyone actually grieving. I came in sneakers. I wasn't here to perform grief, I was here to watch the final act. But before we dive in, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below letting us know where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. We're excited to connect with all of you, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more amazing content. Now back to the story. You probably want to know who I am. My name is Nyla. I'm the second daughter, the forgotten one, the quiet one, the one who always watched, always listened. The one they thought would never fight back. I'm not bitter. Okay, maybe a little. But I learned early on that bitterness only eats you from the inside if you let it sit too long. I don't stew in pain. I wait, I calculate, and I don't forget, especially not the look in my father's eyes the last time we spoke. There was guilt there, and urgency. He pressed an old iron key into my hand and said just 5 words, "When I'm gone, use it." I didn't ask questions. I knew better. With my father, the less you asked, the more you found. The lawyer cleared his throat. The official last will and testament of Mr. Jonathan Everett, dated October 4, 2023. Celeste straightened. I didn't move. He began the usual litany, dedications to charities, a few art donations, something about the wine collection going to some obscure cousin in France. Then he got to the part that would draw blood. To my first daughter, Celeste Everett, he read, I leave the sum of $12,600,000, and all liquid assets not otherwise assigned. Celeste's smile widened like a curtain rising on Broadway. The lawyer barely paused. To my second daughter, Nyla Everett, I leave a key. The key to the red box in my study. She'll know what it means. Silence. A key. Just a key. No land. No money. No trust fund. Just metal and mystery. Celeste turned to me, her voice syrupy with sarcasm. A key? How poetic. Maybe there's a journal in there. Or a treasure map. I didn't blink. Maybe. She laughed. Of course she did. She always laughed when she thought she won. But her voice trembled. Just a little. Not enough for most people to notice, but I did. Because I know her tells. The way she taps her ring finger when she's nervous. The way she over-smiles when she feels the game slipping. She doesn't know what's in that box. And that terrifies her. I didn't stay for the post-will wine and condolences. Celeste posed for a few photos with Dad's old business partners like she was at a gala. I slipped out the back and went straight to the study. The room was frozen in time, leather-bound books, half-finished cigars, a photo of us as kids on his desk. In it, Celeste had her arm around my shoulder, but her fingers were digging into my skin. Even then, she knew how to look loving and still leave a bruise. The red box sat in the corner shelf, tucked behind a globe. It was heavier than I expected. The kind of weight that tells you this isn't just keepsakes and letters. This is something bigger. I held the key in my palm for a second before sliding it into the lock. Click. I took a breath and opened the box. Inside were 2 envelopes, a flash drive, an old photograph folded 3 times, and a thin leather-bound journal. The top envelope was labeled in Dad's handwriting, for Nyla's eyes only. My fingers trembled. Not because I was scared. Because I knew in my bones, that this was the moment everything would shift. I opened the envelope. Nyla, it began. If you're reading this, it means I'm gone, and that Celeste has everything she ever wanted. Money, power, control. But she doesn't have the truth. You do. I swallowed hard. She's done things, Nyla. Things you don't know about. Things I didn't stop soon enough. And now, it's your turn to finish what I couldn't. There were names, dates, passwords, bank accounts, secrets stacked like dominoes ready to fall. Celeste wasn't just greedy, she was dirty. And not just teenage pranks or manipulative lies. This was criminal, life-ruining. Buried in the journal were entries Dad had written, confessions, observations, records of Celeste's shady dealings, including a blackmail incident involving a city councilman and a charity scandal that somehow disappeared from the news cycle. The photograph? It was of a little boy, our half-brother. The one Mom said died in a car accident. Except in this photo, he looked older than when he supposedly died. And standing next to him was Celeste. I covered my mouth. I remembered that boy, Isaac, gentle, sweet, always hiding from Celeste. And then, one day, gone. Just gone. And now I had proof. I sat in Dad's old chair for hours, the box open on the desk, the truth pouring over me like rain I didn't know I needed. Celeste got $12.6 million. But I got the one thing she couldn't buy. The one thing she feared. I got the truth. And now? Now I was going to decide what to do with it. Because this wasn't about money. This was about justice. About balance. About finally breaking free from the shadow she cast over me since we were kids. She always thought I was the weak one. That's her mistake. By morning, I had a plan. I wasn't going to confront her, not yet. I wasn't going to threaten her or warn her. That's what amateurs do. I was going to build a story. Lay the groundwork. Connect with people who had reasons to hate her. Create a network she couldn't trace back to me. She'd never see me coming. Because unlike Celeste, I don't need to scream to be heard. I know how to whisper in the right ears. And when I do, she'll fall, one secret at a time. I didn't sleep, not because I was anxious, no. That phase passed the moment I opened the red box and saw Celeste for who she really was, not who she pretended to be. It was like breathing clean air after years in a smoke-filled room. The night stretched out before me as I read every page. Every note Dad left behind. He didn't just leave secrets, he left instructions. That wasn't a key he gave me. It was a match. And I was ready to burn everything down. The flash drive was my first priority. I plugged it into my laptop like I was disarming a bomb. The folder inside was named Ember. Dad had always been poetic like that. Inside were videos, audio clips, financial records, and one folder marked for Nyla's protection. That folder alone was 10 gigabytes. I clicked on the first video. The footage was grainy but clear enough. Celeste sat across from a man, maybe mid-40s, twitchy, nervous. His name was time-stamped in the lower corner, Councilman Robert Payne. My eyes widened. In the video, he was begging her to back off. She was smiling, her voice as smooth as silk over broken glass. "You want this little scandal to disappear?" she said. "Then you'll approve the contract. And you'll forget who brought it to you." He asked what would happen if he didn't. Her smile vanished. "Do you really want me to show them the photos, Rob?" I leaned back, stunned. This wasn't just greed. This was political manipulation, blackmail. Organized, premeditated, and God knows how long it had gone on. It was just one video, one of many. And in each one, Celeste had the same calm, controlled look. A predator in pearls. She had been building an empire made of shadows, funded by favors, sealed with threats. But now I had the light. By dawn, I had an entire whiteboard up in my apartment, mapping out names, dates, connections. Dad's notes were cross-referenced, color-coded. I wasn't just going to ruin her. I was going to erase the version of her the world adored, and replace it with the monster she really was. I started making calls, discreet ones, to people who owed my father something. People Celeste had hurt. The first was Camille, his former assistant. She had vanished a few years ago after a mysterious resignation. I found her living under a different last name in Seattle, working at a bookstore. She picked up on the second ring. "Camille," I said gently. "This is Nyla Everett." Silence. Then a breath. "I was wondering when you'd call." We talked for 2 hours. She confirmed what I already suspected. Celeste had threatened her into silence after Camille discovered a wire transfer that didn't match company records. Celeste forged signatures, moved money around, and when Camille started asking questions, she got a very clear warning. "I didn't want to die over it," she said quietly. "But I'll help you now." I kept screenshots, just in case. I told her, now is the time. Next was Jordan, a college classmate of mine who used to date Celeste briefly. He once told me Celeste ruined his life. I used to think he was just bitter. Now I knew better. He met me at a little diner downtown. His eyes looked older, hardened. "She used me," he said. "Used my name, my family business, my trust. Then she framed me for embezzlement and walked away squeaky clean." "Do you have proof?" "I did," he said. "But it disappeared. Laptop stolen. Cloud hacked. But I remember everything." "I don't need memories," I said. "I need documentation." He smiled, just a little. "I might know where to find something." The fire was growing. Quiet, controlled, and beautifully destructive. Meanwhile, Celeste was parading through the city like a queen crowned twice. Magazine features, charity galas, a new penthouse downtown. I watched her smile for cameras and shake hands with men who didn't know they were shaking hands with a viper. She had no idea. That's the best part about revenge. When it's done right, it doesn't knock, it seeps in. It becomes the wind in your curtains, the chill on your neck. You don't see it until it's too late. I leaked the first piece of evidence anonymously. A 30-second clip of Celeste pressuring Councilman Payne. It hit the internet at noon on a Wednesday. I uploaded it to an anonymous site, sent the link to one of those click-hungry news blogs that feast on scandal, and waited. By 4 p.m., it was trending. By 6 p.m., her publicist was denying everything. And by 9 p.m., the councilman himself had resigned with a vague statement about personal mistakes and misplaced trust. Celeste issued a pre-recorded video, composed, professional, deflecting. She called it a deepfake. She blamed political enemies. She smiled the whole way through. But her eyes were darting. That little twitch in her temple? That was fear. I know my sister. She was spiraling. I wasn't done. The next week, I sent select pieces of Dad's journal to a trusted journalist, one who had a bone to pick with the Everett family. I told him it was time someone told the truth. No name, no trace, but I knew he'd run with it. And he did. Front page, 3 days later, Everett heiress linked to political blackmail, financial cover-ups. She still didn't know it was me. That's the part that made me smile. She was searching for a male hacker, a political rival, a corporate leak, but it was me. The girl she locked in closets during hide and seek. The girl she pushed off the treehouse and told to stop being dramatic when I cried. The girl she called average. Invisible. I was invisible now, and it was my superpower. I started receiving messages, anonymous ones. People offering tips, others asking questions. Some were scared, some angry, but most of them, grateful. Turns out, Celeste's web stretched farther than even I imagined. She ruined reputations, stole ideas, bribed her way through half a dozen projects and posed as the savior of it all. Now people wanted her to fall. And I was giving them a way to help. I created a folder named Torchlight. Every day, I added more evidence. More fuel. I wasn't just going to knock her down. I was going to expose the empire she built, and salt the ground beneath it. That weekend, I visited our childhood home. It was empty now. Celeste was too busy playing socialite in the city to care about it. I stood in the backyard, under the old fig tree, where we used to bury little time capsules in tin cans. One summer, she made me dig for hours just to prove a point. Told me if I didn't, she'd tell Dad I broke the window. I hadn't. She broke it, but I still got the blame. I reached into the pocket of my coat and pulled out the red box. I buried it there, under the fig tree. Not out of sentiment. Out of symbolism. It had served its purpose. It had given me the fire. The weapon. The proof. Now I didn't need it anymore. Because now, I was the red box. And that's when I decided. This wasn't just about justice anymore. It was about legacy. My father left Celeste money. Power. Glamour. He left me the truth. And with it, I was going to rewrite everything she thought she owned. Because the one thing Celeste could never buy was her way out. It started with a letter. Not a text. Not a post. Not even an email. A letter. Handwritten. Folded in thirds. Left on the reception desk at Celeste's newest charity gala, tucked inside an envelope labeled simply, "To the real Celeste Everett." She got it during cocktail hour. I know because I watched her open it from across the ballroom, glass in hand, heart steady. Her face froze halfway through the second line. Her fingers tightened. And then, like a true Everett, she smiled anyway. But I knew what she'd read. "It's over, sister. You wore pearls to a battlefield. And now, it's my turn to shine." The thing about revenge is this: it's not about making someone cry. It's about making them see. About forcing them to look in the mirror and not recognize what's staring back. Celeste had spent her whole life buying mirrors that showed her what she wanted to see. She thought wealth could erase her past. She thought charm could cloak her sins. She thought her version of the story would always win. But stories don't belong to the loudest voice. They belong to the truth. And I had made sure hers was everywhere now. The avalanche began a week earlier. The investigative reporter I tipped off released a full exposé, bank records, offshore accounts, insider testimonies. And audio clips that even the best lawyers couldn't spin. Celeste's perfect world started collapsing, one headline at a time. Her investors pulled out. Her PR team dropped her. Brands she partnered with deleted her posts like she'd never existed. She tried to issue a public apology. I watched it live. She wore a white blouse, hair pulled back, eyes hollow. "I've made mistakes," she said. "But I am not the person the media is painting." I cut the stream. Because it wasn't about who the media painted. It was about who she actually was. I didn't stop there. The Torchlight folder became public. I leaked it anonymously, but I made sure it landed in the right inboxes: federal investigators, local prosecutors, whistleblower networks. I labeled it the Empire of Smoke. There was no denying the facts now. Celeste had silenced witnesses, falsified contracts, laundered donations meant for orphanages into her personal slush fund. And those weren't even the worst of it. The world saw her, not as the elegant daughter of Jonathan Everett, but as the fraud she had always been. She tried to call me. Twice. I didn't answer. She texted, "We need to talk." I replied with a single photo, one of Isaac, our younger half-brother. Standing beside her. The same picture I found in the red box. One she thought was buried forever. The message beneath it read, "You buried the truth. Now I've dug it back up." Then came the part no one expected. My father didn't just leave me a key to the red box. He left me something else, something even Celeste didn't know existed. Tucked into a back panel of the box was a second envelope. This one said, "For when the fire ends." Inside was a deed to a property, a massive one. 37 acres of land on the edge of the city. Undeveloped, untouched, with a hidden clause in my father's will that stated, "Whoever owns this land controls the rights to the Everett Legacy Foundation." It wasn't just land, it was leverage. The Everett Legacy Foundation wasn't just a charity. It was the crown jewel of our name, the heart of my father's reputation. It funded hospitals, scholarships, research. It was his redemption, his attempt to fix what he failed to control in Celeste. And now, it was mine. The board of directors was stunned. Celeste had been acting like she was the new face of the foundation. Now, legally, she had no claim to it. I walked into their meeting room wearing jeans, a black blazer, and my hair down. "I'm not here to take over," I said. "I'm here to rebuild." Not in her image, in his. They voted unanimously. I became the new chairwoman of the Everett Legacy Foundation. Celeste's face was plastered on the news that night. Heiress ousted as sister takes control of family empire. And then, she showed up. At my apartment. Uninvited. She stood in the hallway, sunglasses on even though it was past midnight. Her driver waited at the curb. I opened the door, slowly. No words. She took off her glasses. Her eyes were bloodshot. Her voice was hoarse. "You planned this," she said. Not a question. A fact. "Yes," I replied. "I underestimated you. I know." She looked around the apartment like she expected to find some grand mastermind set up. But all she saw was coffee mugs, stacks of journals, a cluttered desk, a worn couch. This was where her empire died. Not in a boardroom, but in a two-bedroom apartment with flickering lights and quiet rage. "I was just trying to survive," she said. "So was I replied. "But I didn't destroy anyone to do it." Her mouth tightened. "You think this makes you better than me?" I walked toward her, slow, deliberate. "No, I think this makes me free." She didn't answer. She just stood there for a long moment. Then she said something I'll never forget. "Dad always loved you more. He just didn't know how to show it." And then, she left. No apology, no breakdown, just truth. Raw, ugly, human. I didn't cry. I didn't gloat. I just closed the door. Sat on the couch, and exhaled a breath I'd been holding since childhood. It's been 6 months. Celeste disappeared from the spotlight. Some say she left the country. Others say she's writing a memoir. I don't care. I'm not following her story anymore. I'm writing my own. The Everett Legacy Foundation is thriving. We've launched a mental health initiative in Isaac's name. We're funding shelters, scholarships, small businesses. We're doing it right, not to fix the past, but to build something better from it. And me? I've never been richer. Not in dollars, but in peace, in purpose, in finally understanding that sometimes, the thing they leave you with, the thing they think is worthless, is exactly what you needed to rise. Celeste got $12.6 million. But I got the one thing she couldn't buy. I got justice. And with it, I found something even rarer. I found myself. And that's how the sister who was always overlooked, became the one who rewrote everything. If you enjoyed this revenge story and want more jaw-dropping dramas, powerful storytelling, and characters who don't just survive but rise, then do me a favor. Like this video. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done in Nyla's shoes? And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss another story that hits this hard. This is more than a channel, it's where the quiet ones finally get their voice. See you in the next story.